Hello and welcome back to this channel. So today's tutorial is going to be that we're going to try and illustrate these florals in Procreate. So we're going to use selection tool and clipping mask to create this illustration. So let's just get started. I'm just going to bring in my cute cat to give me some company. So click on this plus button here and I'm going to choose the square option here, but we're going to change the canvas size once we are inside the artboard. So let's just click on square and now you can use your two fingers to zoom in and out like this. So click on the wrench right here and you can go into canvas and click on crop and resize. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the length of this particular artboard. Is just because I can show it as a YouTube thumbnail or something. So that's my whole idea behind it. You can still use the square and be happy with it. Don't worry about the size. It's okay to use anything you want. Once you're done, you can also give in your dimensions here. If you already know what you want, you can just click on this and edit this. By the way, if you want this to be of two different sizes, make sure you click on this and it's going to change it link and unlink. So now it's unlink. You can change both separately like this. Okay, now once we are done, click on done. All right, we have a huge artboard. Now let's go start creating things. So what we're going to do is we're going to create everything on a different layer so that it's going to be pretty simple. So first off, I'm going to start off by creating my base thing, that is the vines. So I've chosen a color palette and I'm going to share it with you guys so that you can go ahead and download it. So I'm going to choose the orange color because that's what I've chosen for this because I want all bright and nice. Click on your brush and go to inking. And in here, you'll see something called as dry ink, and we're going to use that. Click on that. That's the default one that comes with Procreate. And now we're going to go ahead and make some swirls like this. So by the way, my brush setting is at 40%. You can make it thicker, thinner, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and make some swirls and bring it out of the artboard like this. So don't be too picky about how you want this place to be or how you want these vines to look like because this is not the focus of our illustration. It's just going to be in the background and we're going to put elements on top of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on a new layer. So now we're going to go ahead and create some flowers because we want them to be the focus of everything. So that's what we're going to do. Make sure you're on a different layer. Now click on your selection tool here. And once you do that, make sure you're on freehand selection, not automatic. So once you have it, now we're going to go ahead and make some flower shapes. So flower shapes are pretty simple. I'm just going to go ahead and make one somewhere not in the center, a little bit away from the center. Oops, my hand was touching this. So use two finger taps to undo your strokes. And let's go ahead and draw some flowers. You see how I'm drawing them? And you can make them as many petals as you want. It's not necessary to have a lot of it. But yeah, 5 would be good, I guess, but you can make more as well. I don't really care about how many petals I make. So click on your brush tool and click on your color palette. And we're going to go ahead and select the blue one and make sure your brush is at full potential. And then you can start just scribbling it. You see what happens here? Because we have selected only the area with which looks like a flower, it's going to paint it like that. So one good thing about this is if you don't want this brush, you can go ahead and go into artistic or something and choose whatever brush you want. I'm just going to undo this just to show it, and then you can just color it up like this. So basically you can use any sort of brush you want and it'll still look good because it'll have clear and crispy edges, and that's the whole point of it, so that you can have a lot of texture and stuff like that with all these different brushes. Because just see this brush, if you want to try and draw, it's very hard to have a very clean edges, but this technique really helps with that. Okay, I'm just going to undo that. Go back to my dry ink and paint this. So one more thing, if you feel like the brush stroke, even if it's at maximum, it's not giving a very good result, what you can do is you can go here and you can swipe it like this and click on duplicate. I'm not going to do that because I already have it. So once you have the duplicate, click on that and go to properties. And in here, there'll be an option called as maximum size, and make sure you bring it to the max and click on done. And now if you select that brush, you can see that it gives a much thicker stroke. So you can edit all the brushes like that. If you feel like they're too thin, even if they're at the maximum setting, just go edit it. Okay, let's go ahead and make a few more flowers the similar way. I'm going to stay in the same layer. I'm not going to switch up right now. Go to your selection tool again, same thing, and let's make some flowers. By the way, did you see I went outside the artboard? That's totally fine because I wanted to create something, unique. Okay, let's go to this color. And if you want a blue now, you already have it on the surface. So you can just click and hold and select that color and then color it. Select your brush, select the color, and then color it. Let's make one more here, a tiny one, I guess. Oops, that wasn't right. So flowers are ready. Now it's time to make some leaves. So for leaves, I've chosen 4 different types of leaves. So basically one is yellow, one is green, and the one is lighter green. And the other one is almost a beige or skin tone color. So let's go ahead and start with the yellow one. I'm just going to click the color and make sure you're on a different layer. And let's go to our selection tool again. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to make a leaf thing like this. It's super simple, isn't it? And we're going to go ahead and color that. So we'll bring the leaf layer below the flower layer once we are done coloring everything. That's because if we put it already behind the flowers, we won't be able to see it exactly, and that's not what we need. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. Okay, so our yellow leaves are ready. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on a new layer and go to my kind of darker green. And let's try and do some dark green leaves now. And as you can see, it need not be uniform. It can be thick, thin. Just do whatever feels comfortable to you. And we're going to overlap some leaves as well, just so that it doesn't look really odd if it's, all alone on its own. Okay, so once we are done with the green, now let's go ahead and do the light green ones. And in here, I'm just going to try and fill up some spaces because some places look like it's too blank or things like that. For example, here. That's fine. And now for the last one, that's the beige. I'm picking all the colors from the top layer here, and these are the ones which I'll use for highlights and stuff like that. I'll show that to you. So let's check the beige. I'm just gonna see if I need anything anywhere. Probably here. All right, maybe we can do a bit of an edge here like this. Okay, so we're gonna add some elements to these leaves now. So let's start off by the yellow one. So I'm just gonna go click on the yellow layer, click on the plus sign so that we have a separate layer like this, and click on this and click on clipping mask. So we're gonna add some details, but in a different way. So let's go ahead and click here, and below yellow I have chosen a color that's a beige color. I'm going to click on that. I'm just going to reduce it to maybe 50%. Let's check. That's too big. Let's go back to 17. Yeah, this looks good. So right now my setting is at 17%. So I'm just using the dry ink brush for everything. Undo that. So now one thing you need to know about clipping mask is when you have put a clipping mask, you get this tiny arrow here that says that this is being applied to this layer. That means whatever you draw on the surface will show up on this layer only where there are elements. So it will show up on these yellow things, but not on anything which is blank. So it won't show up on these flowers or anything else. That's a perfect thing to do right now. Okay, let's go ahead. For example, I'm just going to draw something here and you cannot see it, right? Although it's there on the artboard. So what I'm going to do is undo that. But if I draw on the yellow leaf, you can see these things. So we're going to try and use that for our benefit and go ahead and draw a straight line. Okay, this is too big and I was using a lot of pressure. So I'm just going to keep it at 10%. And let's do this. I think I want this a bit thick. Okay, so now it's time for the green layers. That's the darker one. So click on your dark green layer, click again on a new layer, click clipping mask. And now here we'll go back to the dark green and select the color that was below that. And we're gonna draw veins. So for brush size, I'm going to keep it at 6% and I'm going to check it. Okay, this looks good. And then you can extend your lines beyond the leaf and it wouldn't matter. So feel comfortable and draw these things out. But I think I don't like that beige color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up something which is a little whiter. I'm going to add it down here so that it doesn't get lost. By the way, we're going to put everything on a black background, but I didn't want to choose that because when recording, the black background kind of shows everything what's behind camera and stuff like that. So I'm drawing it on a white background, but we're going to change the entire thing into a black background once we are done with it. Let's do the same here. Okay, now it's time for the light green, which is going to be very simple. Oops, did you see this? I actually created the light green and the beige layers together. Please don't do this. It's okay, we can still work with it. That's not a huge problem. But it would be really good if you don't do this and have a separate layer for things. Because if any of these leaves were overlapping, it would be really difficult for me to draw on them. Okay, click on new layer, clipping mask, and now let's go to our colors. And if you see light green, I have this one and I'm going to use a little bigger, maybe 17% like we had, and it's just going to be one line. Oops. Let's go to the beige. This will be about 9 or 10%. And let's just do something like this. Oops, this is too thick. Make it like 4%. Make these lines like thick and thin, then they'll look good. Now it's time for flowers, but what we're going to do now is click on your layers, click on your floral or flower layer, bring it all the way to the top and make sure you click on that. And if this happens to you guys, don't worry, just click on this and click on clipping mask and then it will undo the clipping mask. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on new layer because we're going to give some definitions to our florals. So let's click on new layer, go to your color palette, and for blue, we're going to use this color right here. And let's go to our selection tool again and make a round and brush and increase. And okay, that's good. Let me bring it down a bit because I want some texture in there. If I use a bigger size, then there won't be any texture in that, and that's not nice, right? Okay, and for red, we have this beige color. I think I love that color. See, there's a problem there. I'm just gonna uncheck that and draw a proper circle or oval shape. Okay, let's add some finer details. I'm just gonna go ahead and select the white that I have, and then we're gonna go ahead and go to your brush tool, make it really tiny. Let's see. Okay, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and click on new layer and bring it below these circles that we created or oval shapes, and then it'll be easy. Okay, so our flowers are ready as well, and now it's time to go ahead and finish up this illustration. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the yellow here that we have. There are two different kinds of yellow, so they're not the same thing, so don't get confused. So I'm just going to increase the size here and we make it 13% or so. Yeah, that seems good. So by the way, I'm on this brush which is like set to maximum. So when I say 13%, it's going to show a different setting for this brush than for this brush. So make sure you adjust it accordingly. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the background now. Click on your background layer and you can actually go to classic and bring this all the way down here. And if you go to value, you can see it should be hash 6 zeros. So that means it's completely black, and that's what we need. Okay. And now that we have the yellow color, let's go ahead and add some elements to it. So wherever you see a little bit of black, for example, here and stuff like that, I want you to go ahead and add some elements so that it does not look so blank. Let's first add the bigger ones. And then you can go ahead and add smaller elements. You can also choose a different color. I don't know if this will work. Let's see. So that's it. That brings us to the end of this tutorial. But before that, we can arrange some things if you want, like the flowers obviously should be on top. So now if you want these green leaves to go like below the orange lines or something like that, you should make a note of the fact that you can't just move the layer which has the green leaves in it, but also the clipping mask. So make sure you're not in any other layer and click on your green layer. So you can just swipe it so that both of them get selected. Click on group and it's going to group it into that. Click on this button here so that you can see it like this. Go ahead and drag it and bring it up here, and now you can see that they are below the orange lines. We don't want that, but maybe below the yellow ones, because the yellow ones are bright and nice and cheerful, and maybe they look better if they are in the front. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification icon, because then you'll get notified every time I post a new video. I usually post every Tuesdays, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. And if you have any questions regarding Procreate, do let me know in the comments below. So I guess I'll see you in the next video then. Bye-bye.